Hello and welcome to episode number 30 of the Giddy Knits Podcast. I'm Helen and I'm coming to you as usual from Surrey in the United Kingdom, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys, Arthur, who is 4.5, and Jasper, who is 1.5. So hello and welcome. Welcome back to all my existing viewers and hello to anyone that's new. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast. This is a knitting podcast where I share all my knitting basically. So yeah, we've got some finished objects, we've got some works in progress, we've got a bit of Yarny goodness this week. What else have we got? Got a new cast on. I'm going to share a little bit of something different, a little bit of shop news, and then I will finish up with a behind the scenes section, which I haven't done in a little while, but just to fill you all in with some of the stuff that's going on about our move to Dundee, which I talked to you about on the last episode. So for those of you that are new, as I said, I'm Helen, and you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Giddy Helen, and I am the yarn dyer behind Giddy Yarns, and you can find my hand-dyed yarn on Instagram as Giddy Yarns and also on my website, which is www.giddyyarns.com. Nice and simple, and hopefully all of that information about where you can find me should have been on the screen. I usually remember to do it. Show notes for the episode, which I always forget to talk about, are either will be in our Ravelry group, because there is a Giddy Knits Podcast Ravelry group, or on my website. And both those places will be linked down below, so you can find the show notes nice and easily. Yeah, I think that's the main thing, isn't it? If you like what you see today, then please hit the thumbs up button down below, and also if you want to hit subscribe, it keeps you up to date with any videos I post. I've already told you what I've got for you this week, pretty much. Yeah, that was a very streamlined introduction. It doesn't usually go that streamlined. Apologies that the episode is once again a week late. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, or certainly follow my Giddy Helen account on Instagram, you'll be aware that my eldest Arthur had to go into hospital for a day procedure last week. Nothing drastic, nothing to worry about, but it did mean that he wasn't at preschool on Thursday, so I couldn't record on my usual day. And then we've been up in Dundee this weekend and half of this week. We got back yesterday. Today, by the way, is Thursday the 24th of May, because I didn't mention that bit. And yeah, we got back last night. Arthur's at preschool today, so I've finally got time to sit down and record again. Right, okay. Well, in that case, seeing as I've done all my introduction in a lot quicker than I usually do, and haven't been quite as rambly as usual, we'll go straight into some finished objects. I do have 2 finished objects for you this week. And I will start with the big one. I finished my Impressionists mystery knit-along, and the mystery element of this is now gone. It's all been revealed, so I assume everybody has seen it. So I'm not going to worry about showing it, but here it is, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to have enough. I'm going to try really hard not to dip this in my tea. Yeah, here it is, all finished. Peeking through the eyelets to see if I'm showing it properly on the screen, but it looks like you can see it. It's obviously a bit too big to be able to show fully, and I would stand up and move backwards, but obviously I am about as far back as I can get. I am really happy with this. It's not the colours I would usually choose, because I picked colours from my stash, and I just wanted 3 skeins that went together, but do you know what? I absolutely love it. I'm so happy with how it came out. I haven't quite worked out how I'm styling it, but I will just shove it on simply, choking myself with it. I'm hoping I've showed you the right side. I think I showed you the right side. But yeah, it's nice and big and squishy, and I absolutely adore it. Yeah, so this is the Impressionists MCAL mystery knit-along, which is by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. And yeah, I knit this in a month, which for me is amazing. I just about managed to keep up with the whole, well, I didn't keep up with the MCAL, I was always a little bit behind, but I got it finished by the deadline for the actual knit-along portion, which I think is the end of May. So I'm more than happy with that. And the yarns I used, let me take this off again so I can show you the yarns I used. Okay, so let's see. So the yarns I used, so this top yarn here is by Nora George, and in fact all three of these yarns are yarns from the Flower Power Fund, which I've talked about before, and hopefully I will link in the show notes. So this top portion here was Nora George yarns in the Snowdrop colourway, which was the January yarn. And then actually the best place to show it to you is probably in the lace. The top part of this lace was in the Hellebore colourway, which was by Down Sheepy Lane, and that was the February colour. And then the brighter pink and purples is by Beehive Yarns. My brain went blank then. In the Cuckoo Flower colourway, and that was the March yarn. So yeah, and I love how these two worked together really, really subtly. Yeah, and I'm just generally really pleased with the shawl overall. And I didn't make any mistakes in the lace, which is a miracle. Yeah, so that is my finished MCAL shawl. And I can just keep saying how much I love it and how much I adore it, and I love the size. It's blocked out really nicely. I did go up a needle size because I tend to be a tight knitter, so I think the pattern called for 4mm maybe, and I went up to 4.5, something like that. I went up half a needle size from what the pattern called for. But yeah, and the other thing, so the yarn, talking about the yarn is all in Stellina bases. I don't know whether that's going to come across today. It's not quite as bright and sunny outside as it has been, so I'm not sure you're going to be able to see the Stellina. But the Nora George yarn, the Snowdrop colourway, was a 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon and 5% gold Stellina, and the other two were the same but with 5% silver Stellina. Yeah, so it's really nice and sparkly shawl as well, which is quite fun. I've not done a sparkly shawl. Well, I'm talking nonsense this week. My other shawl that I knit, the 3-colour cashmere shawl, I did use my pop colour in that was a sparkle yarn. So I have used sparkle yarn in a shawl before. But it is gorgeous and soft and cosy, and I absolutely adore it. So, moving on before I make up more nonsense about this shawl. I also finished my winter rose socks. Finally, these have been dragging absolutely massively. They are by no means perfect. There are definitely mistakes in them. My stitches where I've picked up for the heel flap are not very neat. A heel flap and gusset is not my preferred heel in a sock by any means. I really just don't like picking up stitches. So yeah, it's not the neatest. And for some reason I completely messed up the toe. So I've got a much shorter toe than should have been in the pattern. I've got no idea where my brain was going on that one, but I've done the same on the second sock, so at least they match. And there's a couple of points which you can't really see, but there's a couple of points where the repeats are slightly further apart than they should be, where I've miscounted and things like that. But overall, they're done and I'm happy with them. One thing you can really tell actually on here is that this was the first sock. And I was having real problems with the fact that the pattern, which is obviously a paid for pattern, so I can't talk about it too much, but the pattern called for you to start the round with a purl stitch. And I don't know if you can see, but just here, I was getting quite a ladder, and it's the same on the other side. You can see quite a ladder there. Obviously it's less noticeable in the lace because the pattern's designed for there to be gaps there anyway. But a wonderful friend of mine suggested that I move the beginning of the round, which for some reason didn't occur to me, which I did. And so for the second sock, I automatically moved the beginning of the round from the beginning. And yeah, as you can see, there's absolutely no ladder in that rib at all. So it really did make a difference. So yeah, if you've ever got any issues like that, then just sit down and think a little bit, and I'm sure you'll come up with some solution. So the pattern, as I said, is the Winter Rose socks, and this is also by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. And this is part of her Handmade Sock Society. And this was the first pattern that was released. The second pattern is the Magnolia socks, which I'm hoping to cast on soon. And then I think the third pattern gets released this weekend, certainly very soon anyway. Yeah, so the yarn, that's the other thing I need to talk about. Right, let's put one of these down. Here we go. So the yarn I used, this is my yarn, so this is Giddy Yarns, and this was one of the yarns that's part of my Flower Fairies yarn club, and this was the Primrose Fairy, and I think it is washing out slightly because the lighting is just not great today. Unfortunately, it's quite a grey day outside, but it is just a beautiful kind of pale yellows and greens with little pops of the teal green, and also little pops of yellow. I'm not sure whether they're going to come across, so you can kind of see them there. Yeah, so I'm really pleased with how this colourway is knit up. Yeah, so this is an exclusive colourway to the Yarn Club at the moment, but once the Yarn Club is finished next year, there are certain colourways from the club that I'm thinking I might release as just regular colourways, and actually with the way that this one is knit up, I'm quite tempted to make this one of them. Okay, so is there anything else I need to say about these? I knit these on 2.5mm needles, and it was my first time using higher sharps. I'm enjoying the higher sharps. The only issue I'm having is because they are sharp, I tend to split stitches, which means that I am having to knit slightly slower with them, I think, just to stop myself from splitting the stitches. But at the same time, for a pattern like this with all the lace in them, they are brilliant. Okay, so I think that's everything that I need to tell you about these. But yeah, another finished object and another pair of socks for my box of socks. I'm not sure how many I've got now. I've lost track. I will have to count them up and let you know at some point. But for those of you that don't know, the box of socks is a year-long knit-along that's hosted by Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast. And basically you have to knit yourself 12 pairs of socks throughout the year, and then you've got a nice new box of socks for the winter. So yeah, that is my winter rose socks finally finished. Okay, so what's next? Works in progress. I have a lot of half-finished objects this week. So, to start with, we'll start with Tom's scrappy socks, and these have to be by far the craziest socks I have ever knit. Yeah, by far the craziest socks I have ever knit. And I have a half-finished object for these, so let me just pop some bits and pieces down. Here we go. I'll stick these on the blockers. Obviously they will be a little bit big for the blockers because the blockers are designed for my feet, and Tom has much bigger feet than me. But here we go. And I did fit the leg quite long. So here are Tom's scrappy socks. They are completely crazy. They changed quite dramatically when we got to the foot because I ran out really of self-striping. Well, I didn't run out of self-striping scraps, but he didn't want it to all be the same. He wanted it to be very scrappy and very random. So other than sort of repeating some of the self-striping scraps that I'd used already, it had to go really, really, really random. But these are a mixture of various different colourways, so I've got no idea what most of them are, but these are all different self-stripings. So there's kind of the first bit to here is one colourway, and then these 3 stripes are another colourway, and then these 5 stripes are one colourway. These are one of the Desert Vista Dye Works colourways, one of their Zumbody range, as I think is this top bit here. And then I've got no idea what this one is, but it's, yeah, that's all one colourway. And then again down here, you've got a little bit more Desert Vista Dye Works, and then just a random leftover. This was actually, in fact, I think I dyed this with food colouring when I was first trying out dyeing stuff, and it's just on a Drops Fable undyed, well, sort of white base, which is just what I've used for the heel and the toe. And then again, you've got one colourway to there, and then just that bit to there, just that little bit in one colourway, and then you can kind of see this colourway is one colourway, and then this colourway is another, and then this colourway, and then this bit here. And then again, as I said, I've done the toe in the same colour. So what he wants me to do is the next one, he said I'm allowed to reuse some of these colourways in the second sock, but as long as they're not in the same orders and they're in completely different places. I'm allowed. But what I am going to do is give the heel and toe will match, but they won't match this pair. They will be another solid colour. Yeah, there'll just be another solid colour for the heel and toe. But he quite liked the fact that the heel and toe matched. So yeah, the craziest pair of socks, well, the craziest sock I have ever knit. And I haven't cast on the second sock yet because we went away and I didn't take it with us. But hopefully I will cast that on at some point this week. They are fun and they do knit up quite quickly because obviously you kind of just work through one colourway and then pick out something else. But I've got my little bag here with various scraps and bits and pieces in there, so a lot of that will go into sock number 2. Right, so that's my first work in progress. So my second work in progress is my eggs and bunnies socks, as I'm calling them, and once again I have a half finished object. Sorry, there's quite a lot rammed in this bag because this is what I took with me up to Dundee. So let me just dig a few things out. Oops. And pop the bag down there. Right, okay, so I have a half-finished object. I haven't weaved in any ends on this, which is frustrating me because I'm usually the type of person who weaves in the ends on a sock once I finished the sock. But I finished this in the car and I couldn't weave the ends in the car because it was making me feel funny. So you'll notice that there are some slight holes again at the edge of the heel because I haven't sewn those up. But here it is. So this yarn is my yarn, so this is Giddy Yarns in the Eggs and Bunnies self-striping colourway. And I absolutely love it. You will notice, or you might notice, or actually I can't notice looking at it now. Or maybe it was, I don't know now. How fun is that? I think it's this stripe here. This stripe here, yes, is just a little bit narrower. And that's why I kept this skein, because when I was winding it up, I discovered that I had warped it slightly wrong. So yeah, there is one stripe here that's a little bit narrower, but yeah, that's why I kept it for me. So nobody else gets one with wrong stripes. Anyway, what I have done, I've shown before, is when this colour has changed, I've just slipped alternate stitches on each row, so sort of every 4 stitches. And I was kind of inspired by I think it's the I can't say it now, the Vanilla Bean pattern, which is a pattern on Ravelry. I think it's a free pattern, but I kind of just made it up myself, basically. I didn't carry it on into the toe, so as you can see, I stopped it here, and then I didn't carry it on into the toe. I kind of think maybe I should have done, but actually, I don't really mind. And then for the heel, I just popped in some leftover, this is my spearmint colourway, which I had left over for my breathing space sweater. And it kind of goes, you know, it's fine. Unfortunately, it's right next to this stripe, which is completely the wrong colour for it to be next to, really. I should have thought that through at the time, but it doesn't bother me too much. It's a pair of socks, and I'm happy with them. And I have cast on the second sock, but I finished the first sock in the car on the way up to Dundee, and this is pretty much all the knitting that I have done since. We spent evenings on the bathroom floor while the kids were going to sleep in the hotel room, and that wasn't the most comfortable place to knit. And yeah, I just didn't get a lot of knitting time. So yeah, I've managed the cuff and 2 stripes, I think, of the sock. But it's cast on and it is going. So yeah, so that's my Eggs and Bunny socks. The yarn base for it, which I didn't say, is just my standard Giddy sock base, which is a 75/25 merino nylon. As is this is the same yarn base. So hopefully I will have another pair of socks next time I record. I feel like I've got so many socks on the go at the moment, and it's because I keep casting socks on to have as samples and things like that. But I kind of want to do a few other things, but I feel like I need to get rid of the socks. Not get rid of the socks, that's not what I mean, but I feel like I need to get the socks finished so I don't have too much hanging around waiting to be completed. Okay, so I was going to share one more work in progress quickly, which isn't socks. And I haven't actually worked on this since I last showed it. But it's been a while since I last showed it, and now I have finished my Impressionists shawl. I can pick this back up again. So this is the quill shawl, also by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade, and this is where I am with it. So it's a DK weight shawl, and these are the colours I picked. It's a 3-colour shawl, as you can see. So it's just a stocking stitch shawl with stripes, and then you have these garter bumps in sort of the pop colour, and then there's a lace section at the bottom in the pop colour too. I'm just looking to see if I have got a picture, although I know I've shown it before, but it has been a little while, so if anyone's new and hasn't seen it before, I clearly used this picture before because it's got a fold line. So there we go. Yeah, that's the shawl and the finished shawl. And I am using 3 colours of John Arbon. So it's 100% Falklands Merino, and yeah, as I said, I'm using 3 colours. So these are my 3 colours. Sort of this sort of beigey neutral grey colour, and then the sort of greyish purple, lilac purple, and then a much more plum kind of purple is my pop colour. And these are, as I said, John Arbon. They're Knit by Numbers DK range. And the colours I'm using are, this colour is colour number 89. Now, see, I knew I wrote on them which were which, but I can never remember if I wrote light one or the dark one. One of them I didn't write on. It's the light one. Right, so the light colour is colour number 12, and the dark colour is colour number 86. So yeah, I love this. I put it down just because of the MCAL, and I can't wait to get back into this. I've got another shawl, which is the Passepartout shawl by Marnell. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, which I knit out of 2 skeins of the Knit by Numbers DK range. And I absolutely adore it. I wore it most of the winter, so I can't wait to have another shawl in the same yarn. If you haven't tried John Arbon, it is absolutely gorgeous. It's so soft. It's not superwash, so obviously it needs hand washing, but I think for shawl that's not really an issue. And it really does wear beautifully. The shawl that I knit before, I've washed it maybe once or twice, once because it got apple juice spilt on it by the boys, and once because it had just been packaged away all winter, all summer even. And it's, yeah, absolutely, it's come up beautifully. So yeah, I'm really happy with this, and I can't wait to start knitting on this again. And in fact, I think that might be what I do after I finished recording, if Jasper stays asleep. I will sit down, I will put something on the TV, and I will just work on this for a little bit, hopefully. Yeah, so that's all my works in progress. And yeah, my lovely quill shawl that I am so excited about getting on with. So we will move on to new cast-ons then, I guess. I think I've shown you everything. Let me just pop this back in the bag. Banging and crashing around today, apologies for that. So I do have one new cast-on. And I signed up to the Summer Shorties Club by Nordic Stitches, and she's doing a pattern. I can't remember how many patterns there are in the club, but I think it's 4 or 5 or 6. Oh dear, I can't remember. But anyway, it's a sock club for shorty socks. And I've never really knit shorty socks, and I am feeling, as we're coming into sort of summer, I'm feeling a lack of them because I've only got kind of proper length socks. So I thought I'd cast some on, and I thought, what better thing to use than my sock sets? So I'm using my bubble. I really wish I'd given it a shorter name. I mean, I love the name and it represents everything that the colourway represents, but it drives me mad every time I have to write it on a label. Anyway, so this is my bubblegum unicorn cupcake with sprinkles colourway. If I can get that to focus, there we go, all caked up. And this is the sock set. I have full skeins of this. I've currently sold out of the sock sets, but there will be more coming in June. But I do have some full skeins of this main colour in the shop at the moment. But I couldn't resist casting on a pair of shorty socks in this yarn. And once again, I have a hoe, a half-finished object. So let me see if I can slip this onto the blockers. It's a bit fiddly being a shorty sock. And it doesn't really show the lace off as well on the blocker, which is a bit of a shame, but you'll be able to see. I'm mumbling, sorry. Here we go. So here is the sock. So I changed the heel. The heel in the pattern was a heel flap and gusset. And yeah, I did change the heel. But I think what I need to do in the next pair, I mean, I'll keep the second one of this the same, but I think what I need to do in the next pair is maybe knit a few rounds of the leg before I put the heel in, because I just feel like it might be a little bit short at the back, especially when I'm wearing shoes. But I absolutely love the lace pattern. Let's see if I can get that, turn it around, see if I can get that to show a bit better for you. It's absolutely lovely, and it's really simple. It's a 3-row pattern repeat, absolutely easy to follow. I love the garter stitch toe. I think that's a really nice touch. I had to do a few modifications on the pattern slightly, because only because the pattern's written for DPNs and I knit with magic glue. So I'm not 100% sure whether I did the toe in exactly the same way, but I did use the garter stitch. I did use the garter stitch on the top of the toe, and I know that I put a different heel in. But other than that, the actual lace pattern is exactly as written. And I'll pop it off the blocker and see if I can show you it a bit better. I'd show you it on my foot, but I'm not that flexible. So I will show you it on my hand. So there we go. You can kind of see that. So that shows the lace a lot better, I think, there, and the toe as well. So absolutely lovely. I really, really enjoyed knitting these. I need to cast the second one on, because once again, I got this finished just before we went away, and I haven't had chance to cast on. The second sock yet. But this is the beachfront. Did I say that? I don't think I said the name. This is the beachfront socks, which is the first pattern in the Summer Shorties Sock Club by Nordic Stitches. And I will link all of that in the show notes, so you'll be able to find it. The second pattern is out, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and I really want to cast it on. But I want to get these finished first. So yeah, beachfront socks by Nordic Stitches in my bubblegum unicorn cupcake with sprinkles colourway. So that is my new cast on. Right, okay, so what else did I have for you? Right, I've got a reasonable amount of Yarny goodness this week. And then I was going to show you a little of something new. I think I will go with the Yarny goodness because it's all still yarn related. So, Yarny goodness, this might involve a little bit of crinkling, so apologies for that. Let's just grab it all here. And those ones, sorry, paper bags crinkling. Right, okay, so Yarny goodness. First of all, this month's Flower Power yarn arrived. So as I've talked about before, I've been buying the yarns from the Flower Power Fund. So the Flower Power Fund was set up by Sarah, who is Sherlock Knits on Instagram. And it's to raise money for Marie Curie. So Marie Curie are a cancer charity. And they have a number of hospices. And last year, Sarah asked for help to knit socks for the hospices, because she wanted to knit a pair of socks for every patient in her hospice, I believe. And the response to her call for help was so successful. She raised, I believe, I may be getting this slightly wrong, but I believe she not raised enough money, but she was donated enough pairs of socks to gift one to pretty much every patient in every Marie Curie hospice in the UK, which is amazing. So this year she has got together with some yarn dyers, some British yarn dyers, and each month throughout the year they're all doing a special Marie Curie colourway inspired by a flower of their choice. So as you saw in my Impressionists Mystery Knit Along, I had the Snowdrop from Nora George Yarns, the Hellebore yarn from Down Sheepy Lane, and the Cuckoo Flower yarn from Beehive Yarns. And then April was this one, which is the crocus flower. It's not called the crocus flower, is it? It was crocus from Lay Family Yarn. And then I've just received the May yarn, which is by Fine Fish Yarns, and this is the I knew this was going to be one that I stumbled over, the Anemone colourway. And I haven't actually taken it out of the package yet. I really should, but it just looks so pretty and so neat in there. And oh, go on, I'll take it out. Hang on, excuse the crinkling. Here we go. You'll be able to see it better then as well. So this is the Anemone colourway, and it is this gorgeous kind of pale pink with these real pops of blacks, and you can see a little bit of purple in there. There's some really nice bright pink in there. There's some neon yellow there. Yeah, absolutely stunning. And I got it as a sock set, and it came with this black. It's kind of black. It is black. It's kind of dark brown. It's a very purpley black, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if it was dyed purple first and then over dyed with black, because it's got some real purple tints to it. I'm not sure. It does look like it potentially, but that could just be the light in here. But yeah, that sort of mini to go with it. So these will definitely be a pair of socks. Yeah, absolutely stunning. I'm even looking at that now and thinking potentially the Magnolia socks. I'm not sure. I thought the same when I looked at the Crocus one too. I don't know. So that's my first Yarny goodness that arrived this month. And then I also ordered, I'm trying to see if I'm focused. I'm not sure. Sorry, my phone's usually pretty good at focusing on me, but it seems to be playing up a little bit today, or either that or my glasses are just filthy. So then I also ordered the May minis from Down Sheepy Lane, which if you've been watching for a while, you'll know I am in the process slowly of turning these into a blanket for Arthur. And Debbie at Down Sheepy Lane is dyeing minis. Well, no, she's dyeing a colour of the month. So she does a full skein, and then she also does mini bundles as well. So the full skein is across her yarn bases, and then the mini bundles are obviously just in the minis. And each month they're inspired by Disney films. So this month is Aladdin. So the mini bundles, the colourway is Make Way for Prince Ali. So yeah, absolutely gorgeous colours in there. So I look forward to getting these eventually into the blanket. I'm in the process of crocheting up the February ones to put in the blanket at the moment. So these have got a little while to wait. But yep, absolutely lovely. So these two things are kind of becoming my monthly purchases at the moment. But it's quite nice when you know you've got something coming in. And then I did treat myself to a couple of other things. So going back to the Flower Power Fund, I've not really jumped on the enamel pin bandwagon at all. But I have been a big supporter of the Flower Power Fund, and I wanted to continue supporting that. So I thought for my first enamel pin, I would have to join the pre-order for the Flower Power Fund pins. So I have got a lovely enamel pin, which is sort of the Flower Power Fund logo on there. And these were designed by Sam Draws Things. She does all the branding for the Flower Power Fund, and also the branding for Lay Family Yarns as well. So it's a lovely card, and she's got all her information on the back there. She's been doing prints of each of the flowers as well that are available to buy each month. So well worth checking out either her website or her Instagram feed for kind of information on that. So I've not worked out what bag this is going to go on yet, but I will pop it on a bag, and yeah, it's beautiful and I enjoy it. And I'm by no means planning on jumping on the whole enamel pin bandwagon, but I couldn't resist this one. So yeah, I then did also treat myself to a skein of yarn from Kelly at Lay Family Yarns, because as you'll know if you follow me on Instagram, and I just said about Arthur having to go into hospital, Arthur's day in hospital was challenging, let's put it like that. And actually at one point, and I'm not squeamish by any means, I am one of the least squeamish people I know. I am the type of person who can watch a nurse take blood and it doesn't bother me in the slightest. But something about the procedure that Arthur was having and what was going on, and I think just the stress and anxiety of it all, resulted in me passing out. Yeah, it was a little dramatic moment. Tom panicked, the nurse came in and was completely unfazed. But I was feeling a little bit sorry for myself, so I treated myself to something to make me feel better. So I treated myself to this lovely skein of yarn from Kelly, as I said, at Lay Family Yarns, and this is the Atlantis colourway. So it's on her stellina base, so it's 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon and 5% stellina, and it's beautiful. It's got these lovely speckles in here, absolutely lovely. Yeah, so I was really happy with that. And Kelly very kindly, I was chatting to her about the hospital and about what had been going on, and we had a lovely conversation about it. And when I received my parcel with this in, she had very kindly popped in another skein of yarn for me, as a little cheer you up kind of thing, which was so kind of her. So this is quite an exciting skein of yarn. So this is, it's not got a colourway name, it's kind of a one of a kind. She dyed this up just to experiment with the base, but it is absolutely stunning. But the base is very different. Now I've completely forgotten exactly what it was now. But I can't remember quite the quantities, but I think it was something like 50% merino, and then there was, I think, was it 55% merino, 25% mohair, what does that give me? And 20% nylon? That works, doesn't it? Yeah, 55% merino, 25% kid mohair, and 15%, 20%, 50%, anyway. Merino, mohair, nylon. Let's go with that. So she said it makes absolutely gorgeous, warm socks. And you can really see the halo from the mohair, and it is lovely and soft, and I'm really looking forward to trying out the base. I'm going to have a little think about what type of socks I want to knit with them, because my first thought was I might knit one of the Curious Handmade Sock Society socks, but then I was thinking about it, and actually they're all kind of lacy socks, and if this is going to be really warm, I might not knit lace socks, so I might pick a textured pattern, something that I'm more likely to wear in the winter, and then these can keep my feet really cozy. So yeah, so that is all of my yarny goodness this week. It was a reasonable amount, which is quite nice for, I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, but yeah, I'm very happy with all my lovely yarny goodness. Obviously these have a plan, and the rest are probably just going to be socks, but they'll sit in my lovely little stash for a little while until I decide what to do with them, but I'm very pleased they make me very happy. Right, okay, so as I said, there was something a bit different that I wanted to share with you this week. I may not have fallen down the enamel pin rabbit hole, but I have fallen back down the cross stitch rabbit hole. So I have started a cross stitch thing, and here it is. Let's see if I can show you this. It's very cute, and I bought these patterns. So I bought 3 patterns. I've only actually got, well, actually no, I might be able to show you the others. It might just take a little bit of rummaging. And the idea is, what I'm thinking I want to do with these is, when we've moved into our new house, I'm going to have the 3 of them above the bed. So these are all from Plastic Little Covers, who you can find on Etsy and on Instagram. And I'm just wondering if, no, she hasn't got her information there. But yeah, plastic little covers. Again, I'll link it all in the show notes. So if you're interested, then by all means check it out. So the one I'm currently working on is this one here. Home is where the pants aren't. And then I've picked up 2 others. So that one will go on Tom's side of the bed. And then I've also got, just see if I can fold this so that I don't show all the colours and all those bits there. Home is where the bra is not. And that will go on my side of the bed. And then the last one, which is going to go in the middle, if I can find it, and whether I've got an image of this one that is, I might not have an image of this one. No, I haven't got an image of that one. I'll put it up on the screen. But the other one is, says, and they lived happily ever after. So that's going to go in the middle. So I think that'll be fun. And yeah, it's been a while since I've done any cross stitch. Apologies for all the rustling. It's been a while since I've done any cross stitch, but it's been really nice to get back into it. And I treated myself to all the threads for the pattern, because normally I would have just gone back through what I had and tried to find something similar. But I thought, you know what? No, I'm going to start a completely new project. I'm going to actually treat myself to all the threads that the pattern calls for. And yeah, why not? So I did. And yeah, as I said, this is where I am at the moment. I love how cute that little bee is. But yeah, plastic little covers. She has so many amazing patterns. And if you're a fan of swear words, which, to be quite honest, I'm not. I'm not the type of person who tends to swear, and I don't use a lot of swear words. And it's not the type of thing I would use to decorate my house, but I can appreciate them, if that makes sense. It's not something I would use, but I can see how they are amusing. That makes me sound really prudish, doesn't it? I appreciate the sentiments, I just don't always appreciate the words. I don't feel comfortable swearing, basically. Tom doesn't bother him in the slightest. I just don't feel that comfortable swearing. I think I don't know, how I was brought up. I don't have a problem with other people swearing at all. It does not bother me. But yeah, it's just they don't feel comfortable coming out of my mouth, if that makes sense. Anyway, she does a lot of patterns with profanities in. She does a lot of feminist patterns. And yeah, there's some really, really fun patterns, and they're all available as kind of digital downloads on her Etsy shop. So she emails you a digital file and then you can just print that out at home, which is really nice because obviously it keeps the price point down to some extent, but also means that it's really, really easily accessible. I feel like a proper podcaster today because I actually have like fancy tea. I never talk about my tea because I'm usually drinking bog standard tea, and I always think it's a bit odd when people talk about their tea on podcasts. But I wish I could show you this tea because it's blue. So I'm really hoping it doesn't stain my mouth blue. But yeah, apparently it's a green tea, I think. But it's got some kind of special flowers in it that turns it blue. And it's also got raspberry in it. But I've got a red mug. So the inside of my mug is red. So I can't actually, well, I couldn't show you the tea without spilling it all over the floor anyway. But I can't actually show you the colour of the tea because it doesn't really show up. But yeah, it is bright blue. Okay, so that is pretty much it for my crafty content, I think. Just looking down at my show notes, I've done all of that. You've seen the Yarny goodness, you've seen the cross stitch. Oh, and in terms of the cross stitch, I'm using the DMC colours. She gives you lists for Anchor and DMC, and I went with the DMC purely because the website I ordered them from, so-and-so, I believe, had a special offer on DMC threads, so you got a certain number. If you ordered 6, you got 1 free or something like that. So it was a financial reason. I don't have a preference for Anchor or DMC either way. But yeah, just for your interest, I'm using DMC threads. Okay, so I will move on to shop news. And I haven't really got anything to show you for shop news. But where's the shop at so far this month? I have currently sold out of Advents for this month. I will be listing more Advents in June, July and August. Hopefully I will be listing some more in September. It all depends how popular they are in June, July and August and how many I feasibly think I can dye. But I will be listing more in June. I'm currently sold out of my 5-stripe self-striping dye to order listings at the moment, but there are still a few slots up for the Storm's End self-striping. There are a few monthly minis in the shop because I dyed up a few extra, and there are plenty of sock sets in there as well, so it's quite nice. I did quite a big update. It's quite nice that there is still yarn in the shop. I always hate it when I do, well, I don't hate it, this sounds really stupid, doesn't it? I always hate it when I put yarn in the shop and everyone buys it. I don't like it when I put yarn in the shop and it all goes at the beginning of the month as soon as I've had the shop update, and then I've got an empty shop for a month. That I don't, I'd like to be able to keep the shop a little bit more full so that at any point in the month people could decide to buy yarn and there would be something there for them. I hope that makes sense. I hope that doesn't sound really odd. I'm sure you see what I mean. So the next shop update will be the 9th of June. I'm shifting it a week. Usually it's the first Saturday of the month. But with Arthur's Hospital and us going up to Dundee, things have just got away from me. And although I could get the shop update ready for the 3rd, it's going to be really, really busy and really, really hectic. And I don't want to put that pressure on myself at the moment. So I hope you can understand that. So I'm just shifting it a week later. So the shop update will be on June the 9th, Saturday, June the 9th at 8 p.m. as usual. And that's going to include obviously the monthly minis for June. I will be putting in some more full skeins and yeah, various bits and pieces. There'll be more advents. I think there'll be a few more dye to order self-striping listings. And yeah, that's about it. There'll be some sock sets, there'll be some full skeins, there'll be some new colourways, there'll be some bits and pieces. And then the only other thing I was going to talk about is that on the 16th of June, which is the week after the shop update, I believe. Yeah, must be. The week after the shop update, 16th of June, I will be at Socks on the Beach in Brighton, at the Eagle Pub, which is opposite Yak Knitting Shop in Brighton. And I will be there to knit and chat and enjoy myself, but I will also be having a pop-up shop. Me and Debbie of Down Sheepy Lane are both having a little pop-up shop, so we'll have some yarn with us for you to come along and squish and purchase. So yeah, so that's all the shop news basically. There wasn't really a lot to say. And I'm just going to finish off with a little behind the scenes section. So for those of you that are interested in our current journey towards living in Dundee, if you've not watched previous episodes, we're moving to Scotland, to Dundee in Scotland at the end of July, probably mid-July, end of July, something like that. My husband's got a new job. He's going to be working at Dundee University, and yeah, hence we're moving. So as I said, we went up this weekend to try and sort out houses and schools, and fingers crossed we have got a house. We've given all the information we can possibly give on our end to the letting agents, and they will be in contact with the landlord, and hopefully the landlord won't have any issues with it. But yeah, it's still, we haven't got it confirmed yet, so it's still a little bit of anxiety there. I also need to stick in Arthur's application for the school that he's going to be going to, because he's due to start school this year, and in Scotland they go back mid-August, so he'll be starting mid-August, which means I need to get the application in by the end of May, which is a little bit tricky, but hopefully it will work out fine. But yeah, it was lovely to go up. We had a little look around in sort of a few areas around Dundee. We won't be living directly in the city, which I'm quite glad about, because I'm not really a city kind of girl. Having grown up in Cornwall, both Tom and I are much more kind of countryside people. So we'll be living in a little town right next to Dundee, which is kind of on the Tay estuary. So it's got like a beach, and it's got a lovely playground. It's got a nice little high street with a few shops and things in it. There's a post office just down the road, so that'll be handy. Yeah, and I think it will be a really nice place to live. So yeah, keep your fingers crossed that everything goes through, and I will keep you updated. But yeah, we're looking at moving kind of mid to the end of July. We've handed our notice in on this place, so we've got this place until the 31st of July. But Tom starts his job on the 1st of August, so hopefully we will have moved by then. Yeah, so that's all I've got for you today, really. I will leave you with maybe a few photographs that I took while we were in Dundee. I didn't take a lot of photographs. It was all a bit chaotic and a bit busy. And to be fair, Arthur's behaviour was horrific. Not that I am judging him in any way. I think he's done really well. It was a really challenging weekend. We were hoping to be able to go up by ourselves, but unfortunately we've had to go up earlier than we were expecting because of the schools. So my parents weren't able to have the boys like they were planning. So we had to take them both with us. And Arthur, bless him, he did very well, but he's 4, and being dragged around houses and schools and not really having a lot of downtime in between, and then sleeping in a hotel room, which is really exciting. And yeah, it was a struggle for him. So yeah, we didn't get a lot of time to be able to just take photographs and do nice things like that because yeah, he had to manage his behaviour a little bit. But I'm sure those of you with young kids or with memory of having had young kids, especially boys, would appreciate that. Anyway, I will leave you there for now, and hopefully I will be back with you in a couple of weeks' time, as usual. So thank you so much for watching. As I said before, if you've liked what you've seen, then please hit the like button down below, the thumbs up button, and hit subscribe to be kept up to date with my videos. And I will see you all again very soon. Bye!